And this is in connection to the public records that Willis and her office has withdrawn from them. Donald Trump's co-defendant Ashleigh Merchant has filed a lawsuit against Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. Now, this lawsuit from Ashleigh Merchant, though, it stems from last year, and it's pretty similar to what other government officials have asked from Fani Willis and from her office: requests of public records to be made public, because it doesn't make sense to call them that if they're not accessible to the public, right? Yeah, that's what public records means, right? Anyway, and this is what a lot of critics are calling out Fani Willis for because of her complete disregard for these requests. Now, it's really not surprising to hear that the DA's office is doing something that's distasteful, right? However, this time around, it looks like she's using her position to allegedly violate Georgia open record laws. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Now, this does not help the credibility for Georgia's justice system. And many critics of the DA, they're saying that she's doing everything in her power so as to maintain her position, even if it means that she's disregarding the rule of law. Now, you guys might remember that the DA was subpoenaed by the U.S. House Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan, for records relating to Donald Trump's case in Georgia.
House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan has subpoenaed Georgia's Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, demanding documentation from following allegations that Willis fired a whistleblower and allegedly misused federal grant money. NBC News congressional correspondent Julie Sirkin joins us now. Julie, good morning. Bring us up to speed. Exactly what is Jordan subpoenaing?
Yeah, hey, Jose, this is definitely an escalation for Jim Jordan, who, of course, heads the Judiciary Committee, but also the Weaponization Subcommittee that was launched when Republicans took the majority last January. This step by Jordan marks an escalation because he had previously requested documents back in August, again in September, from Fani Willis when it comes to federal funds that Jordan alleges Willis had misused in her investigation of former President Trump.
Now, this is in relation to possible communications that she and Nathan Wade may have had with the White House. And she thought that nothing was going to happen. Well, this thing ain't over here. Correspondence that they have outright denied. But when asked to open their records for communication, they then reject these requests. So the bad news for Fani Willis is that, it kind of looks like the judge wants this to be a fair trial. This is actually good news for Donald Trump. It's good news for America. Now, I took a snippet from the court proceedings that's going to blow your mind. Check this out, guys.
The issue here that the DA's office, in whatever manifestation, whatever we call it, a sub of Fulton County, its own independent entity, Madam DA in her official capacity, it is the question. I mean, the question can't be whether they're governed by the Open Records Act. Doesn't it have to be who's the right person to sue for enforcement of the Open Records Act? Or are we really in a place where, despite cases going back to 1996 at least, where the Supreme Court is talking about enforcing the Open Records Act against a sitting district attorney, that you've just named the wrong party? And so let's figure out, because in civil cases procedurally, where there is a right that may be vindicated, oftentimes it's just a matter of determining who is the appropriate party, and let's get the appropriate parties before the court and move forward with the substance.
Yeah, and I think if I think we've appropriately named the office as the defendant, because that would be an official capacity claim against the DA herself.
Right, well, I mean, I don't want to be overly limited here, but I mean, I have said that I don't agree that Myers has applicability here in terms of the general proposition that such an entity has to exist in order to be sued. But let's not completely dismiss the county's point that the Fulton County District Attorney's Office is not a formal entity. It's not a municipal body. It's not an incorporated entity. It's just a name that we've given. I mean, if you were to sue a lot of the entities that are subject to the Open Records Act for some other violation, you'd be suing the sheriff or the DA or, the governor, right? I mean, that's how we do things in terms of suing for relief within the purview of those named elected officials.
Right, and we certainly can amend the complaint to add the district attorney individually and in her official capacity. If that solves the issue, then we're happy to do that. If this really is just a nomenclature issue, we just have the wrong party name, then we can save everybody a lot of time and just get to the heart of the matter and get the right people on the complaint.
At this point, all they have to do is specifically add District Attorney Fani Willis as the individual within her official capacity who is subject to the Open Records Act, meaning that it is possible that Ashleigh Merchant will be able to get records that the DA's office has purposely hidden from the public. Because if there's nothing to hide, then why else would they do this? So there must be something there. Now, the judge has said that she can't go and check all these open record requests and check each one if responsible documents were provided. And she said that she wasn't going to deny or grant the motion to dismiss because she admits that there's an open question here. She wants to be very specific as to which entity the plaintiffs have to address their suit. And she's given the plaintiffs the opportunity to also add another party that could better posture the case between the real parties and interest. Now, some experts have said that this says a lot about the judge because it sure looks like she actually wants to do her job. Now, it ends with her granting 20 days to the plaintiffs, which is the Merchant law firm, Ashleigh Merchant's law firm, to amend their complaint. And this is again in line with them focusing the suit on who it needs to be focused on. And just to kind of show you that she's fair, she's also giving the district attorney's office 20 days to file whatever motion to dismiss. They're also going to wait on the Georgia Supreme Court to guide them as well so that they would be made aware of as to who is the appropriate party that should be addressed here. And here's the thing, guys, it's now becoming common for Willis to be included in these lawsuits because she's obviously been doing something that she doesn't want the public to know about, besides her affair with a married man. Now, will these records be made public? Well, at this point, we're not really sure. Although it is good to see that the judge is at least open to the idea that this is something worth talking about. And this is exactly what many analysts are also asking, right? If there's no smoke, then there should be no fire. But Willis and her office have been pushing back on any kind of request to provide information. Sandy Monroe, one of the attorneys in the hearing who actually works for Fani Willis, was asked about this position of the DA's office when it comes to open records. She said that the DA's office has a civic duty to make sure that there is public transparency as to how they are operating on behalf of its taxpayers. Now, she says this is in the Georgia Constitution, which means that Fani Willis has no right to withhold any information that's considered as public records. And this is a big deal because she hasn't responded very well to these types of requests. She legitimately seems pissed off whenever she talks about it. And yet, even her own attorneys can't refute the fact that they have to be transparent. And the idea from the DA's office is that they've already provided what was asked of them. And yet it's pretty clear to everybody else that's involved that they are holding something back. But Monroe says that this is harassment of Fani Willis and that they've given all that there is to give and that there's no abuse of litigation. But what do you guys think about this? Should the DA's office adhere to these open records requests? All of these court proceedings are supposedly making Ashleigh Merchant sort of a legend in Georgia. Now, I did a previous video where I talked about a judge who got arrested over there for attacking the police. It's alleged that this judge used a closed fist to hit a police officer with all their might. I know. Make sure you guys check out that video right after this one. I'll leave a link to that in the description down below. But as always, I appreciate you guys being here. Thanks for hitting the like button and subscribing, and I'll see you on the next one.